Yesterday, media mogul Russell Simmons' new YouTube network, All Def Digital, released a parody video that immediately had Twitter and the blogosphere in an uproar. The video was titled Harriet Tubman Sex Tape, and it depicts actress Shauna Malcolm portraying the famous African-American abolitionist having sex with her master while being filmed by another slave. Check this out.
Harriet, drop it like a hot coal.
Massa, I've got what you white folks like to call leverage, and I'm gonna be telling everybody about your Negro love, including Mary.
Like anyone's gonna believe.
Not surprisingly, the video offended multitudes of people and it was quickly taken down. But how did it get up there in the first place? And when it comes to the most painful moments in the African-American experience, where is the line between comedy and bad taste?
Your guess is as good as mine. I, like you, saw it come through my stream, and at first I thought it was just some kind of, Twitter rumor or someone just talking, but I found the link. It came across my timeline, clicked on it, and I was floored. I couldn't believe, number one, that someone would think this was funny. I mean, satire is one thing. There's a way to do satire. There's a way to do smart comedy. But it got me to thinking, how in the world did that whole process, from performance to cutting, to the editing room, to going to distribution and marketing, to uploading to YouTube, at what point did someone not say, no, this isn't right. This doesn't even make sense. And so I think last night I was up until like 4 o'clock in the morning tweeting and looking at tweets. I'm trying to figure out for myself, just like you, Mark, how does something like this happen? And I think we're all still trying to kind of wrap our heads around it.
It's problematic on every possible level imaginable. It's almost a parody of itself. And a parody of how desensitized a lot of people are when it comes to, history, right? Because we're used to the very casual disrespect of contemporary Black women. So this is somebody who's associated with hip hop. We could have a whole nother conversation about the women, the images of women in music videos and the images of Black women on television. But people like Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth and Coretta Scott King are typically safe from that level of disrespect. So this is new territory. This is a new line that's been crossed.
There's the issue.
The sexual. I'm sorry. I'm still somewhat speechless, even though I've written 2,000 words about it. There's still something. When I think about it, it just kind of takes your breath away.
Russell Simmons also issued an apology on his website, Global Grind. He says, in the whole history of Def Comedy Jam, I've never taken down a controversial comedian. When buddies from the NAACP called and asked me to take down the Harriet Tubman video from the All Def Digital YouTube channel and apologize, I agreed. I'm a very liberal person with thick skin. My first impression of the Harriet Tubman piece was that it was about what one of the actors said in the video, that 162 years later, there's still tremendous injustice. And with Harriet Tubman outwitting the slave master, I thought it was politically correct. Silly me. I can now understand why so many people are upset. I have taken down the video. And lastly, I would never condone violence against women in any form. And for all of those that I offended, I am truly sorry. Tara Conley, I saw your Twitter feed after he released that first apology, and you wrote this. You said, I'm seriously tired of apologies at this point. I want an overhaul of folks who have access and power to certain media platforms.
After this entire week with everything that's been going on Twitter, I'm honestly and genuinely sick and tired of apologies, particularly public apologies. If we want to have a conversation about the nature of public apologies, we can do that. What I want to see is real action. I want to see impact and I want to see influence. And when we talk about, when we even looked at Russell Simmons' apology on Twitter, and he used LOL as a follow-up.
Let me show the people that, Tara. The first one said, I get it and I respect that the Harriet video has been removed. I was hopeful after that. Then I read the rest of the statement. He also wrote this, I guess I have a sensitivity chip missing, LOL. Haven't been in trouble since Def Jam. Sorry if people are hurt. Whenever somebody says, I'm sorry if you're upset about what I did, to me that is the wackest apology possible. He also said, I have thick skin. He said, I'm fairly liberal. It was almost as if he was saying, I'm going to apologize because you're asking me to, but I actually don't think I did anything wrong.
I don't know how anybody says that's nonsense when you start talking about final edits and what you didn't know was there. I mean, at the end of the day, you were bent over on your knees with somebody behind you. So at any point, so I think, Mark, what we are seeing is, and I think what we have to recognize is that there are multiple generations of our people who have no historical context, and that is our fault. It is our fault because we are not having conversations with our babies at the dinner table, that we don't know our own history, and I think that's obviously a small part of it. But I think that the only way you can feel comfortable being involved in that kind of project is not having historical context, is not knowing, I think, what we've talked about, not just about the sex itself, but how many times have we talked about movies that are connected to slavery and young people that will laugh because they don't have context, young people that are desensitized to the reality of what slavery was, and then entire generations of people that say, why don't we just get over it, when they don't really understand what they're talking about getting over. And so I think sometimes we dismiss that as Black people just being angry and oversensitive. But the reality is it is the foundation for so much of what the imagery that is continuously perpetuated in this country stems from.
Absolutely.
And so we've got some of our own kind of healing process and conversation to do. But I think at the end of the day, Tara said it right. There's got to be accountability and there's got to be action. And if we just keep having these kind of conversations, disconnected from holding people accountable from an economic standpoint for the projects that they try to put out, and then simultaneously putting our money behind people that will actually have a level of sensitivity to the truth, we're not going to see anything change.